The Shark Deck.
Hello and welcome to Palace Intrigue. I am your host, Mark Francis. Ashley Carman writes an industry newsletter about podcasting and reported that Harry had some very lofty ideas for his Never Happened podcast. Carman writes that she spoke to people with knowledge of the situation about what ideas the prince floated and why none of them ever came to fruition. They requested anonymity because they weren't authorized to speak about his work. Spotify declined to comment, as did Archwell Audio. Carman reports Harry spoke with multiple producers and production houses. These people said to discuss possible shows. Along the way, Harry listened to various ideas from others, but mostly stuck by his own, including one about childhood trauma. The concept, Harry would interview a procession of controversial guests, such as Vladimir Putin, Mark Zuckerberg, and Donald Trump, about their early formative years, and how those experiences resulted in the adults they are today. Harry also had an idea, the people said, for a show centered on fatherhood. Another one would have tackled major societal conversations episode by episode, ranging from climate change to religion. For the latter, Harry hoped to have Pope Francis on as a guest. As we have some expertise in podcasting, we'll chime in here. Famous people at that level tend not to have schedules that are open wide. Let's say, for example, Putin said he'd do it. Moscow is 10 hours ahead of California. Should we aim for 8 a.m. in Moscow and 6 p.m. in Montecito? Are the celebrities free then? Would Harry accept a guest on the phone? Are we going to just ask the Pope to jump on Skype? These are very complicated things to work out, assuming you even get the yes. Carman agrees, writing, the practicality of these ideas struck some people in the Harry podcast cosmos as questionable at best, given that people like Putin and Zuckerberg rarely give wide-ranging interviews about the topics they're passionate about, let alone about their upbringings and personal childhood traumas. One of the nice things about breaking up with Spotify might be that the Sussexes won't have to worry that US officials refuse to grant them a trademark on their Archetypes podcast. GBN reports the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office has refused to grant a trademark for the Archetypes podcast on the grounds of confusion with an existing Arizonian company. The Sussexes were seeking exclusive rights to the name Archetypes in relation to downloadable audio recordings and podcasts for anything concerning the cultural treatment of women and stereotypes facing women. GBN points out a trademark for Archetypes LLC already exists, secured by an Arizonian firm in 2015, and granting use for a series of books and articles about nutrition, fitness, sexuality, psychological self-improvement. And let's back up a few sentences to the part where it says Harry and Meghan wanted Archetypes to be for anything concerning the cultural treatment of women and stereotypes facing women. Maybe we're reading too many tea leaves, but that reads like yet another example of a project being all about Meghan and Harry being, well, a spare. Palace Intrigue will be right back. Hey, I want to introduce you to a new sponsor, and you know we love our sponsors here at Palace Intrigue. Let me tell you about AG1, a daily foundational nutrition supplement that supports your whole body health. And stay with me on how you can get a really sweet deal just for Palace listeners. I gave AG1 a try because it's one easy-to-mix drink I have every morning, and it's packed with 75 vitamins, probiotics, and whole food-sourced nutrients. I was tired of taking all the pills and supplements, and with AG1, it's all there in one easy drink. Makes me feel like I have more energy, better gut health, it's even healthier for skin and hair, and it tastes great. Plus, AG1 is delivered every month, so it's easy to make it a daily habit. With their travel packs, you never miss a day. Just mix it with ice-cold water and you're set. It's that simple. If you want to take ownership of your health, try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. It's a pretty sweet deal. Just go to drinkag1.com/palace. That's drinkag1.com/palace. With AG1, taking good care of my health is that simple. Check it out, drinkag1.com/palace.
Hey, it's Jordan Ross Myers, the man behind Twitter's notorious Lee Radswell and Don Gunvalson. I'm inviting you to join me every week for the Pretty Corrupt podcast. Along with my co-host, reality casting director Stacey Noel Connor, and disgraced entertainment TV producer Nate Safer, we deconstruct pop culture's past, present, and future and probe the dark crevices of Hollywood, taking you inside the scandals, feuds, rises, and falls of society's rich and infamous. Alongside interviews with our celebrity friends and special guest hosts, everything is fair game on the Pretty Corrupt podcast. Every Tuesday on all streaming platforms and at storicmedia.com.
Sir Trevor Phillips, the former chairman of the Equality and Human Rights Commission, said that Harry and Meghan's decision to step down as senior members of the royal family in 2021 was akin to them choosing not to help make things different for millions of people. Speaking to the Mail Online, Phillips also claimed that no one cared about Meghan's race. He said the Sussexes could have been a beacon of discovery and reconciliation, not just to Britain but the whole world. Instead, they completely squandered this golden opportunity to show everyone what this country is really like in a matter of race. A country where no one disturbs themselves about a marriage across the lines of race and ethnicity. Phillips accused the couple of constructing this completely ridiculous and unpleasant story about how maltreated they were, adding that, frankly, no one believes it. No one cared about Meghan's race, and they could have made things different for millions of people, and they chose not to. That's unforgivable in my book. That's a sin. You can count the New York Daily News as part of Team Sussex. The news went with the headline, Prince William gets birthday shout-out after Lilibet got silence. We'll remind the news to check the updated line of succession. The Telegraph took a look at who is in the King's inner circle. We know it's not Harry, but who is? They used the Royal Ascot for clues. Joining the King and Queen in Seat 1A of Ascot are also known as the Royal Carriage, where Charles Wolsey, 9th Duke of Wellington, and his wife, the former Princess Antonia of Prussia, who is herself descended from Queen Victoria. You may have spotted the Duke a month ago carrying Queen Mary's crown at the coronation. The Telegraph teaches us, as well as being one of Britain's grandest aristocrats, a successful businessman and a member of the House of Lords, he was a very close friend of Charles. They have a long history. The King was in a relationship with his sister Jane in the 1970s, back when she was a tatler cover girl, and while rumours of their engagement were quickly quashed, he has frequently stayed at the sprawling Wolsey estate in southern Spain. For Charles' second carriage entrance into Ascot, he chose to ride with the Earl and Countess of Halifax, a duo who could almost be credited with bringing the King and Queen together. The Earl, whose name is Peter, was rumoured to have been in a relationship with Princess Anne in the 1970s, while his wife Camilla was previously married to Andrew Parker Bowles' late brother Rick. Get out some pen and paper for the next part. Camilla, the one who had been married to Rick Parker Bowles, not that Camilla, the one that was married to Andrew Parker Bowles, has a daughter from that relationship, Emma, who is the first cousin to the Queen's own children, Tom and Laura. And in the category of now, wouldn't that be something, a fun headline from the News International who went with, Prince Harry now secretly regretting dishing the dirt on his family for money. They referred us to the Sun and royal journalist Jane Moore, who believes, following the unceremonious dumping by Spotify, perhaps it's now dawning on them that the TIG, the lifestyle website Meghan closed down when she met Harry, but is now reportedly thinking of rebooting, might never reach the dizzy heights of Gwynnie's lucrative goop. And what of their multi-million-dollar deal with Netflix? Now the milk of the royal teat has been tugged dry, what else of interest is left for them to say? So perhaps the juggernaut of hype, as one PR described it, has finally hit the buffers. Which lastly leads one to wonder if Harry is now secretly regretting dishing the dirt on his family for money. For even if he hasn't quite burned his bridges with his father and brother and they welcome him back in the royal fold with open arms, there's another slight issue, as the British public might not be quite so forgiving. And there you have it. If you'd like to email us, our address is thepalaceintrigue@gmail.com. Please follow us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, YouTube, or your app of choice. I'm Mark Francis. My thanks to John McDermott. This is Palace Intrigue and good times.